Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to Avengers tier list. It's the second last in this series. So Avengers is an interesting synergy. I think it's one of the strongest synergy in the late game. In the early game, it lacks because Avengers like Dooms is requires a lot of effort to make it. It revolves around certain units that you must have in your team to be functional. So let's start with Altia. Now, Altia is a very, very crucial hero in Avengers lineup, mainly because of her passive skill. So let's start with her active skill first. Active skill, I think she does decent amount of damage. It is not too less or too much, but it is decent. It is well balanced, so I would give a one for that. Passive skill, passive skill definitely very very good. She every time someone dies on the battlefield, doesn't matter who it is, it can be a summon, it can be your ally, it can be your enemy, she's going to increase the max hp of herself, not the entire team but herself, by 15%, stacks up to 30 times, which is 415%, 450% overall. So pretty good, I would say. This is where she becomes very important in Avengers lineup, is because Avengers synergies, they have a revival effect, but the revival doesn't take effect immediately. It will take effect in the next round. But when you have Altia, the revival effect will take effect immediately in the same round. So what it does is sometimes, like if you face a hero like Navi, where she triggers her passive and kills all your allies in one blow, then the battle ends over there. Your heroes won't revive and it won't go into the next round. But when you have Altia, even if all your allies die from Navi, they will still revive and the battle will go on. So it gives you a better chance of winning. So I think that's a very important effect. That's why Altia is very useful. And I would give a one for passive. For synergy and team comp, I think she's best used in an Avengers. Outside of Avengers, she's not really that. She's not really really beneficial to be used. So yeah, I wouldn't say she would go into any type of team. Maybe she can, but never seen it. So I would give a zero for synergy and team composition. For versatility, which is the consistency, I think she's quite consistent in PvP lineups. Everywhere you see an Avenger in PvP, you should expect an Altia, at least a 7 star, because she's very important to be in an Avengers lineup to be used in PvP. Progression and evolution is her runes. So the runes, now that you can see the layout has been updated because we have seen an update like a couple days ago, 3 4 days ago. If you go on her skill, we can see a lot, but we will just, to save ourselves a little bit of time, we can go here. It's when an ally is attacked by Valiant synergy, LTR has a 100% chance to reduce the damage taken by allies. It's not something, very OP. It is certainly a little bit useful against Valiantes, but it is not guaranteed that you will always face a Valianter when you are using Altia or Avengers. So that's why it has a little bit of use, but not too great. At the start of the round, also, she has a 50% chance to apply Amnesia. Now, this effect only comes when you have the legendary runes, either 2 or 4 legendary runes. She'll have 50% chance to apply Amnesia to 2 random enemies for 2 rounds. Amnesia is really a interesting and good effect. It can limit the enemy with the amnesia to only use basic attack and decrease their defense by 30%. So really good. The only bad thing is there's 50% chance and 2 random enemies, but I think it still is worth to give her a one for this. Community consensus didn't put her into the tier list, so I think I'm 100% sure they would give her above average. So I would give a one for that. Overall, makes her a hero with 5 score. Moving on to the next one, which is Lachesis or Lachesis. I still don't know how to pronounce this, but the active skill, I think she definitely scores a one because with her passive skill, as long as your Lachesis is above 8 star, 8 star or above 8 star, you will have this called has a 100% base chance to dispel all buffs from all enemies. It is very good. It removes all the buffs from all enemies. Doesn't matter it's attack buff, damage boost, defense boost, or anything like that, or even shield and holy shield effects. She can remove all of them, and it is very, very good, very nice. So I would give a one for that. With her second active skill, she just heals all the allies, which is not really that great, but it's still good enough. Um, the next one is the passive. She just increased the heal rate. She just gives heal rate bonus to ally team. Not too significant. Heal is not really that significant. Has a very significant effect in this game. So I won't give a one for this. For the synergy in teamcom, I think she can be used in many teams. It is not like she can't be used, but the problem is like she's a healer, and her synergies are not really that great to like she's an enchanter. Maybe she is quite good in an enchanter team, but other than that, she's a healer, and not really not cannot be used in many team, in my opinion. So for versatility, I think she's quite consistent because there are not many. I mean, like pretty much the minimum baseline requirement for any team to work is like two Celestials. So she is one of the Celestial in the Avengers. So that's why she is quite consistently used. One is her and one is Altia. Combining them will give you two Celestials. So which is why she is quite consistent in PvP game modes. So I would give a one for versatility. Progression evolution, I think she definitely scores a one because she, this time, opposite of her active skill or ultimate skill, this time she has like this thing each time the cases takes action when the ally team's total number of revival is higher than three, purifies 50 stacks of debuffs from three random allies. Now there are a couple of bad things about this, but it's still pretty good if you ask me. The first thing that is bad is that you need to have three revival effect in the game to have this effect. If your allies don't die and don't revive, then this is becomes very useless. Okay, this does not affect the team, and but if you see what it does is quite significant. It removes 50 stacks of debuffs. I think it counts all the effects as well, like removing maybe stun effects or amnesia effects. Maybe I'm wrong, I haven't seen it very often, but yeah, it's still pretty good. 50 stacks of debuffs from three random allies. I would give a one for progression evolution. Community consensus definitely puts her above average, so I would give a one for that. Overall, making cases a hero with four score. Moving on to Artina. Now, Artina was pretty used before Narissa came out, but now she is becoming very flop. She has been pushed out of the Avengers lineup because of Narissa. Narissa is also a deviant, so that's why it is pushing out one deviant for another deviant to come into the team is completely reasonable. But moving on to active skill, even though it says 450% magic damage, trust me, her damage output is so low. It's so low. It's like so much less. Even I would say a bad hero like Albert would do more damage than Arctina. But yeah, it is what it is. I would say like this 450% magic damage is so significantly low. So that's why I won't give a one score for this. With her second active, she would just apply 3 stacks of attack boost on the ally team. It's more functioning like a support rather than a damage dealer. You can see that she's not a support. Well, I don't know why she has this type of thing skill, but anyway, it is what it is. I want to give a one for active skills. For passive skill, Adina doesn't have good passive skills either. I think she only has one. Yeah, she only has one passive, which is this: when Adina is deployed, allies who are attacked recover 10% of their max SP. There is nothing good about this. The first thing is this effect can be triggered only two times per round. That is two times for your all allies. It's not two times per ally. Is two times for your all allies per round, which is very insignificant. And also, if you look at the effect, it's only 10% of HP. 10% HP is almost non-existent. Okay, so yeah, I think it's not really that great. So I'll give a zero for that. For synergy in teamcom, again, she's a deviant and royal, which is nice, but she doesn't have really that kind of skills to be used in many different team modes or team synergies. So a zero for that. Versatility, I don't know. I'm still going to give a one because this guide or this tier list does not consider Narissa. I'm not going to place Narissa in this tier list. But once I have to consider Narissa, then I would probably put a zero on versatility, because she becomes irrelevant. If you don't have Narissa in the game, then she would be a great choice to be in the game. So that's why she would be a consistent hero in your lineups. So that's why I'm giving a one, because she is a deviant, and the minimum I would suggest going for a deviant synergy is two deviants, and if you combine her with Janna, that makes two deviants. But once you have Narissa, then you really don't need three deviants in a team. I mean, it wouldn't harm having them, but it's still like it's not needed. It's not really going to make a big difference if you have three. If you have two rather than one, that is quite nice because you get holy shields. But yeah, so that's why I don't say she would be a one for versatility after you add Narissa. So I would give a one for versatility for now. For progression and evolution, she definitely has something good in her rune. The first thing is that, well, let's talk about the bad. She applies this one stack of plague to three random targets and has 100% chance. Now there are some effects in the game like plague or divide. These kind of effects, they sound very good, but they are actually very bad. The good ones are things like amnesia, pessimism, or bind. Those are pretty good. But plague is like really insignificant, has really very insignificant effect in the game, so I wouldn't say it's very great to have. But if you consider the good part, which is that when the ally team's total number of revivals higher than four, Artina gains repeated revivals. There is still something bad. There is a threshold. You need to have four revivals in the game, in the round or in the battle to have this effect. But considering it just gives Artina repeated revival, 60% of max HP upon revival, makes her very annoying to kill. So I think it deserves a one. Community consensus definitely puts her above one. I'll give her one for that as well. So overall, a hero that scores three. Now, even though I'm not going to place Narissa in this tier list, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Narissa is, I think, a hero overall who I would put around in six, seven, or maybe five, something around this area. Her damage is definitely higher than Artina. She does good amount damage, but every time she activates her ultimate, she's also going to give 10% HP to all allies up to 40 stacks. There's like 400% HP boost, which is very, very nice. For passive, whenever a unit dies on the battlefield, Narissa just cast her ultimate up to three times every round, which is very nice. And when Narissa is alive, the counter passive has triggered when summons appear increases by one. Now this is something more useful when you have some heroes that has a passive effect that gets triggered when a summon appears, like for example Liandra. If you remember, Liandra is a hero when there is a summon that gets spawned, then Liandra is going to cast her ultimate. If you have Narissa and Liandra in one lineup, then Liandra is going to cast her ultimate twice instead of one time when a summon appears. So it has like kind of good synergy with Liandra. And also for each ally summon, Narissa ultimate damage increase by 30% up to 300%. So kind of nice. I would give probably a one for both active and passive synergy. I'm not too sure. Maybe a one, maybe a two. Definitely has good runes as well. Gives Makes her pretty much like a Mavis, because Narissa immediately revives and restores 20% of max HP upon death, up to four times per battle. And not only that, but every time she revives, she's also going to have one stack of Sanctuary, preventing her from taking any damage or debuff. So pretty good. That's why I'm saying like I would probably, if I have to I would put around a six score. Enough of that. We go to Janna. Janna is a wonderful hero, I think. Janna does this AoE damage to all enemies with her active skill, ultimate skill. It might not sound very great when in like early battle, like maybe round 2, but when you go later on, she's going to get this attack boost of 50% for every death from her passive, which makes her ultimate so powerful that it becomes very, very powerful. Okay, so it's just nothing you can ignore. So I would give a 1 for her active and passive, because on the passive side, this one is definitely good, but for every death you are going to get 50%. Now it is something uh, controversial, because if you use Janna in a team where a unit dies and then you get a buff, this is like not really that great. But if you use her in an Avengers where Avengers have a revival effect, then it becomes quite a good skill. For her first passive, however, the first part is kind of like nice. She spawns summon up to 8 times in a round, in a battle. But the second part is also nice, but the problem with that is the summon will have so much less HP that they probably won't survive for 2 rounds to get that stun effect on all the enemies. So yeah, it's not really, this part is kind of becoming irrelevant, but the first part is kind of nice still, because if you have someone on the battle and they take a hit instead of your main units taking a hit, then it can give you a little bit of survival boost in the game. So for passive and active, I would give Janna a 1. For synergy and team com, I think her skills are made to be used in an Avengers team. So yeah, for that, I want to say like she can be really a great addition into many other synergies. But yeah, so a 0 for that. Versatility, I think she is very consistent hero in an Avengers lineup, PvP and maybe some PvP, PvE modes as well. So a 1 for versatility. Progression evolution, instead of now it is the runes she has is pretty much the same as her second passive, but instead of getting an attack boost, she's going to get a shield boost equal to 200 or 1000% of her attack every time a unit dies on the battlefield. Or when she revives, she's going to get 1,000% of her attack converted into shield, which is very nice because it lets her survive in the game. Community consensus definitely gives her above 1, above average, I mean. So I would give a 1 for that. Overall, making Janna a hero that scores a 5. Moving on to Albert. Now, Albert is a bit of controversial hero. Some people I have heard they say Albert is a very is kind of nice hero, a hero that is not too bad, that as many people says. But I think Albert is a very useless hero, kind of like maybe a 1 or a 2 hero. So let's break that down. Now, going on to his active skills, I think she does kind of decent damage, but considering a hero that is not a royal hero with no celestial or deviant synergies, which are great synergies, you have to have a very fantastic skills to gain those 1 point or 2 point for your active and passive. So I think he does this decent amount of damage, but it's not enough to give him a 1. Otherwise, it will just place her above maybe like these heroes, which is definitely not true. So yeah, I'll give a 0 for active abilities. Just this damage, which is decent, but it's not enough to give her a 1. Give him a 1. Passive, he only has one passive where he increases the skill damage of all allies by 30%. I don't. Some people say it is quite significant, but I don't think it is really that of a game changer. So I would give a 0 for that as well. Synergy and team com. Yeah, I mean, as I said, if you are not a royal hero with celestial or deviant synergy, then you have to be kind of really, really good to be used in many teams. So that's why I don't think he is really that great. So a 0 for that definitely. For versatility, again, if you are not really that good, you will not be consistent. So a 0. Progression evolution is where I would give him a 1. he has this. The first part is kind of useless. I don't think it's really that significant to give him a 1. The second part is at the start of the round there is a 50% chance to apply pessimism. Pessimism again only limits the targets to use only basic attacks, prevents them from using their active skills. So yeah, it's something really nice. So I would give a 1 for that. Community consensus does put him like barely above average, so I'll give a 1 for that, making him a hero that scores 2. Next hero on the line is Seline. Seline is a fantastic hero. It was like probably one of my favorite heroes in the non-royal category. In the early game, Seline, it can go into many teams. You can combine and make a 2 or 3 striker team and things like that. So I think Seline is overall a very good hero. In the late game, when you come, it becomes very hard for him to survive the blows from the enemy. That's why he becomes a little bit flop. But in the early game, at least, it's a fantastic hero. For his active skill, he does so much damage, so much of AoE damage. Can pretty much wipe the whole entire enemy lineup in one blow. But yeah, so I would give a 1 for active skill. For passive skill, he's going to have like these effects where he converts every time he gets healing, he applies 2 stacks of attack boost and damage boost on him, which makes him deal even more damage. And also he is going to increase the limit of attack boost, heal rate bonus, and damage boost stacks, all of them going to about 15. Okay, which is very very nice, making him get more buffs and also dealing more damage. So overall, I would give a 1 for passive. Synergy in Team Comp, as I said, in the late game, he becomes a little bit of irrelevant hero, but in the early game, at least, he is a fantastic hero. He can go into pretty much any team, to be honest, because he does kind of nice damage and also is a striker. For versatility, in the late game, as I said, it becomes irrelevant, so doesn't become becomes doesn't really become consistent. So a 0 for versatility. Progression and evolution, I think he has a fantastic rune where he converts 10% or 20 or 50%, depending on what runes do you have on him, of the healing into on attack. The good thing about this skill is that now there are some heroes that have this kind of conversion from healing into attack, but what's bad about those heroes is there is a limit of how much increase of attack you can get. But on Selene, you really cannot limit. There is no limit. You, as long as you can survive, you can keep Selene on the lineup, on the team, in the battle alive. He is consistently going to increase his attack as much as he can. Another thing is there is also no round limit on it. It's not like for 2 rounds or for 3 rounds. It's for the entire battle. So I think it's really nice. So I would give a 1 for that. Community consensus do give him above 8 out of 10. So I would put a 1 on that as well. Overall, making Celine a hero that is 6. I know you guys might be a little bit like, oh, this definitely sounds wrong, but it's my ratings, my things are more thinking about every type of like game mode, not only just PvP. Obviously, if you just think about PvP, Celine would probably be one of the worst heroes. But yeah, moving on to Illyrian. Illyrian is one of the useless hero in the entire game. With the active skills, I think he does quite nice damage, can pretty much one-shot the frontline allies, because if you think 350% magic to frontline enemies, also for everyone dead unit you get an increased damage. But if you combine with his passive, which increases the frontline enemies taking damage by 150% more, then it becomes quite significant. So I think I would give a 1 for active skill. Passive skill, he doesn't have really that great passive. I mean, this one is kind of nice, but the other one is just going to increase Selin's HP by 50%. It's just, it's not a lot. So I'll give a 0 for that. Synergy in Team Comp, he's not really that great to be used in many synergies, so I'll give a 0 for that. He, as I said, he's a flop hero, and so won't be a consistent hero. A 0 for versatility. progression and evolution is kind of nice because he's kind of like has this pretty much the same as Navi. So Navi had this rune skill or exclusive rune skill where she increases the magic damage reduction by 40%. Illyrian just increases the physical damage reduction by 40%, which is definitely something very nice and useful. So I would give a 1 for that. Community consensus do put him below average, so I would give no point for that. And just a 1 here, a hero that is a 1. Okay, moving on to Solomon. Solomon is a hero. Probably, if you are a new player in the game, you will probably hear on the wall chat saying, "Oh, Solomon, get Solomon. Solomon is very nice. Solomon is a great tank." Well, he might be great tank, but in this game, the one thing that you should prioritize in this game is damage, nothing else than that. Okay, and then for that reason, I don't think Solomon is really a very fantastic hero. I think he's one of the useless heroes. So for his active skills, he does a very little bit amount of damage and has 33% chance to apply taunt on 4 random enemies. I mean, this is so insignificant. This is so insignificant. But yeah, it's not really that great to give a 1 for it. So 0 for that. For passive abilities, what it does is after Solomon deals damage for every target he applies taunt on, he restores 5% HP. Now, very bad things about this. First of all, you have 33% base chance on 4 random enemies to apply taunt. 33% base chance for taunt is very less, first of all. And the second is for every taunt, you have increase of 5% HP. Not increase HP or heals 5% of his HP. I mean, like 5% HP, really? That is really so tiny amount that it doesn't make any difference. Like, if an enemy has like a little bit of base reflect, they will probably deal the same amount of damage that he is going to heal. So it counters itself, so it becomes very useless passive. For the second passive, he has when someone receives active healing. So this is not any type of healing from deviant synergy or from any other type of healing. It's active healing. So one example of passive healing is from Karnak or from deviant synergy. But an active type of healing is coming from heroes like Lachesis or Persephone or Seraphina. So every time Solomon receives active healing, all allies are healed for 20% of this instant. I mean, do you really need this skill if you have these healers who does AOE type of healing? Like Seraphina is AOE healer, Lachesis is AOE healer. I think Persephone is not really AOE, but I don't really remember her skills. But yeah, you don't really need this if you have an AOE type of healer, so it becomes very useless. So a 0 for passive as well. Synergy in team comp. I think her skills are so bad that he probably won't go into many teams. A 0 for that. Versatility. Yeah, versatility 0 as well. Not very consistent hero. For the rune skills, he pretty much is just going to increase the healing that he's going to share with the other allies by like 60%. So yeah, nothing really significant. Community consensus do put him a little bit above average, so I'd give a 1 for that. And he becomes a hero that has a 1. Where is Solomon? Here. So next hero is Persephone. Persephone. I pronounced it wrong, I guess. But Persephone releases soul power to heal all allies. So yeah, she is actually AoE healer, providing HP equal to 130% of own attack, and also fortitude to the ally with lowest HP for 1 round. I mean, the healing part is kind of useless. It's not really that great, but the fortitude is nice. But it can get countered by heroes that can remove fortitude, or heroes that have, or synergies, I should say, that have execute abilities like Valianta's relic synergy can have the execute, which counters fortitude. Doesn't matter if you have fortitude, if your ally are below 20% HP, they will get executed anyway. So yeah, becomes kind of insignificant. This one again, she's going to heal 3 allies instead of all allies. So a 0 overall for active ability. For passive, she's going to increase the healing boost stack limit by 5, and that's it. Very useless. I would say is passive skills. So 0 for that. Synergy and team composition. I think she's kind of bad, to be honest. Cannot go into many teams in the early game. When you would probably see it's probably maybe rigged or definite that you must as a new player you must get Persephone a lot. But in the early game, when you do like your I should say 999 draws instead of 777, but you do get a lot of Persephone copies, and people are like, Persephone is a great healer. You should have her in the team. But in fact, she just falls so bad. She even in the early game, she's not really that great of a hero. But just people have this idea that you must have a hero of every type in your game, in your lineup. Like you should have a tank, you should have a healer, you should have a damage dealer, you should have a support, and all sort of that. But you really don't. You can pretty much be fine if you go with all in DPS type of heroes. So yeah, she is kind of bad in the early and in the late game. So synergy in team comp at 0, versatility. Uh, she's not really a consistent hero. She was kind of nice before Narissa as well was added. I mean, some people, really the people who were on the above end, they used to have like this Altia, Janna, and Persephone using for the three. What is this Phantom synergy? Because they makes him very annoying to kill those heroes. But yeah, because now we have Narissa as well, you really don't need Persephone to have like this four Phantom. So yeah, she doesn't become really a consistent hero. Even before Narissa was added, she was not really that consistent. Progression evolution is kind of nice. She applies stun every time she dodges on two random enemies for 1 round. It is a little bit of has some limitation. If you go against Glorians, they cannot be stunned, so it's kind of useless against them. But other than that, they are pretty. It is quite a nice skill. So a 1 for that. Community consensus gives her above average barely. So I'll give a 1 for that, making Persephone a hero that put in 2. And last but not least is Mavis. Mavis is like the Navi of Avengers, but not really like Navi, because Navi has a lot more usages than her. But she definitely is a very perfect hero to be a very important hero to be added in Avengers lineup. So she is actually the only hero in the entire Avengers team to have that have a single target type of skill, which makes her a very nice hero against bosses that takes more damage from Avengers. So yeah, she that's why I think like she is. I would give a 1 for active ability. For the passive ability, it is not really that great. The passive, unless you have her above 11 stars. So once you get her above 11 stars, 11, 12 stars, then what you can get is the second part of this, because every time Mavis is going to die, she's going to do 1 times the damage of her ultimate to all enemies. So it's an AoE type of damage, and it can pretty much kill the entire enemy very soon, very early. And if you combine this with Mavis's passive, which gives her this ability to immediately revive and restore 20% of max HP upon death, which can be activated up to 3 times per battle, then it's kind of very nice. And for this one, it's kind of a bit irrelevant because you need to use Persephone to have this one be useful, because she's just going to increase the fortitude effect from Persephone's ultimate from 1 round to 2 round. But yeah, overall passive and active both a 1. Synergy in team comp, I haven't seen her being used in many different teams. She is pretty much perfect and fine in an Avengers lineup, and that's about it. So I would give a 0 for synergy and team compositions. For consistency, I think she's a very consistent hero overall in Celestial Trials, in Gresham, in PvP. in at least in an Avengers lineup. So versatility, I would give a one. Progression, evolution, I would give a one because every time Mavis is going to die and revive, she's going grants the allies with the lowest HP a 50% chance to trigger blessing each time they are attacked by an active skill in the next 2 rounds. So it is the blessing itself doesn't have any limit. So like like three times you can only activate the blessing 3 times. It's like unlimited, but only for 2 rounds. And also it's only 50% chance, so it's not always guaranteed that it's going to trigger. But yeah, it's kind of nice because it makes Avengers even more annoying to kill. So I'll give a one for this. And overall community consensus would put her above average because she's a very important hero in an Avengers lineup. So a one for that as well. And Mavis overall gets a hero that is a five. So yeah, overall I'm not very satisfied with this one. It doesn't turn out as I expected. I think Mavis is definitely a hero that should be in a six rather than a five. Janna is the same, probably should be a six, and Altia should be a six. Artina, I'm happy with where she is. The case is fine as well, and these four heroes are fine as well. They're definitely not above three. So yeah, um, hope you enjoyed this one. The next one is going to be obviously the last one is going to be about Dooms. So yeah, see you then.